And maybe that's just part of the journey, right, guys? I mean, maybe as your growth as an artist, maybe that, like sometimes when I'm like, oh, that scene, it didn't go. And maybe that's how it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. Maybe it was supposed to be like that. And then, that's why I think that the award stuff is like, it can be a weird thing because I've seen people nominated a lot, and then I see their work kind of change because they're playing for a win or something, or when we have those shows that might be a quote Emmy show, you could see like, oh, that person's playing for a win, and I think I personally think that's very it's too strong a word, but dangerous. Like as an artist, where we're like communicating the human experience is what we're doing. And you want to, at least that's my goal, to do that. Right. And so, I'm just happy to be with all these gals. Right. And still, in my case, I'm still invited to the party, and that's a really great feeling
Me too.
Welcome, everybody. Congratulations on each of your nominations in this category. Today, we're going to talk about storylines and scenes that brought these nominations to you, as well as some tricks of the trade that you've learned in your time in this genre, because we have a lot of actors watching. They want to know how you guys do this and how you've done it for so long. But let's start with the submission process, which is always very interesting to kind of hear what you guys pick and how it gets picked. And Finola, I think I heard you say that you're not good at picking your scenes.
No.
What makes it tough for you?
Oh, well, I just don't like watching myself. I just don't. And I haven't actually ever got past that. So anyway, so I just, it's hard. But I have these wonderful producers at work, and they seem to remember, like they're really good to all of us. They mark down things that they think might be Emmy, good for a submission. And then at the end of the year, they've kind of got all these things marked down for each individual actor. You remember Michelle Henry, right? Michelle.
Oh yeah.
So she kind of helped me this year.
Okay. Yeah. Does anybody else feel like Finola that it's a tough chore, or do you actually like it, or is it easy? Annika, I'll jump to you. What do you think?
I don't know if any of us like it, but I mean, I am grateful to have enough material to choose from. I think my thing, you hear different things of, oh, you maybe should just focus on one story, or you should tell or just show your best work, and you hear conflicting things about what the voters want. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I think it's just about submitting something that you're proud of and you can get behind. And so for me, I personally just wanted to take the viewers on a journey with my character, which happened throughout the year, about her growth and her story there. But I know of other people that literally have just submitted back to back one episode and then the immediately following that episode, and that was it. So it's a very varied thing, but yes, very grateful to the producers to remind me of scenes to look at, because otherwise I would get lost amongst all the other episodes throughout the year.
Okay. All right, Michelle, how do you approach it?
After I do a scene or a show, I think, oh, that worked out better than I thought it was going to sometimes. And sometimes you see it and it actually wasn't as good as you. You're like, oh, I think that was good. And it was, but there were a couple of them that stood out in my mind after I did them. And so I'll go to those kind of scenes and those kind of shows where I recall it feeling good. And sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. And I kind of just go that way.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Cynthia, anything to add there?
I think Finola's absolutely right. It's really difficult for me to watch myself on television, because in my mind, the scenes always kind of have a different look. when I'm doing them. Sometimes I force myself to watch, just because, I always learn something, watching myself on TV, but it's never an easy process. But like Finola said, Michelle Henry was great about marking it down and stuff. And I like what Michelle Stafford said about it. It's really wise. Like if you feel good about something that you did, to kind of just mark it down. I always mean to do that, but I forget and then just go home. So I think that's a really a wise thing to do. Yeah.
The thing I used to do is, if I felt it was a good day, I will leave the script in my room. I'll put it sort of in my closet. So I have like a stack of scripts, and then I can go back in, and I was like, oh yeah, that felt really good that day, and
Okay.
yeah. So I'll just put it in the closet if it's felt like a good day.
Okay, I love that. Tamara, do you stack scripts, or how do you keep track of your scenes and what you think is
I used to
worth
pull
sending
off
in?
the front page, if I thought it was good. Then I decided, oh, okay, well, then I found myself with quite a mess, of just pages, and then I'd just throw any page somewhere. But yeah, so I start writing down the show and the number, if, and I'll say, oh, scenes with, whoever, take a look at if I felt good about it. But I too have a hard time, and it just becomes a whole, who wants to, like I don't know. It's a hard thing, for the same reasons. You think it's going to turn out one way and it turns out differently, like Michelle said, or, but I also, my mother watches the show. And so I say, Mom, if you see a good show, just, write it down, what date it aired, and let me know. And so I turn to her sometimes, but Mom versus what actually, what Mom loves and what, what might be good for Emmy submissions sometimes don't always mesh. But, I generally have a scene or two that she said, hey, check that one out.
It is supposedly good to watch yourself, because you're supposed, you can find little ticks and things that you can kind of lose if if they're not serving you. But then on the flip side of that, it's when you're in a long running show, there's part of you that just doesn't want to become so aware of yourself, when you go into work every day. Like I sometimes just don't want to be that aware.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah. Well, I know people want to know what you did submit. Tamara, I'll come back to you to start. What did you end up sending in, whether it was Mom approved or not?
Oh, what
scene or story?
Yes, so Mom approved. Mom suggested, when I first came back on the show, my character was in a psychiatric hospital and dealing with hallucinations she was having, and how she was ever going to be normal again or healthy again, and being able to see her son, and not wanting that her mental illness to keep her away from the people she loved, and her mental illness to do horrible things. So those were scenes with Steve Burton. So I submitted those, a couple of those. Yeah. And
great.
Yeah, it was actually like, I think one of the first or second day that I came back. So scenes from there. And then there's some scenes where Ava Gill, who is David Lee, wonderful actor. He was a guest performer on our show. He attacks Ava and tries to sexually assault her, and she is able to get his gun from him and turn the tables on him. So that scene. And then I thought, well, with all that joyful stuff, maybe I should put something a little light in. So I just added a scene of Steve Burton and Ava. So Harris and Ava in Paris, just being kind of stupid and silly and ridiculous. So just to
That's great.
Not leave everyone kind of heavy.
Yeah, clearly it worked. It worked. Cynthia, how about you with Nina this last year? What did you submit?
Well, Nina found out that Willow was her daughter. So with Laura Wright, I had some scenes in a chapel where she finally tells me the truth that Willow is my daughter. I get to like storm out going, "You bitch!" And so I added that, and then I was in a chapel. And one of our villains was pretending to be a priest, and I confess my sins and say that I'm a horrible person, that I'm a liar and stuff, and I need help. And so I submitted one of those. Yeah, and I was trying to find something light. Nina didn't have many light moments. It's always nice when you can do like all this dramatic stuff and then kind of have something that's funny. But I tried, but I couldn't find anything.
Okay. Michelle, how about with Phyllis this last year? What did you choose?
I had these scenes with Christian LeBlanc and Tracy Bregman where Phyllis was just starting to spin out, and they're actually like they weren't really, they were a little light, but they didn't really go that way. And I like it when it goes a different way, than what one would envision with the words, right? And so I just thought they were cool. And I have a Phyllis and Diane scene where Phyllis is just about to take her down, and she's up in her face, and then I had this monologue that was 8 pages long. Now, wow. I didn't admit. I've never in my life had that.
That's an amazing monologue. My
I
gosh.
was so scared. I mean, you guys know, I was so terrified. I mean, the days leading up to a show like that, you're so terrified. It's a lot of exposition, let's be honest, those 8 pages. And so, but I took the first half of it, where, Phyllis was just pleading to a judge to exonerate her. And, and that's it. That's what I had.
How far ahead did you start learning that?
Well, that's so funny, because usually I'm a couple days before. I'll like look at it a couple days beforehand, and I'm just the night before. But the director, a week and a half early, said, "Have you seen the show's next, on Thursday, this date?" She said over the speaker, right? And I said, "No." And she went, "You should look at them."
Wow.
That was Sally McDonald. She's my hero all the time. Okay. And so I've never experienced that before. And only a daytime, I think.
Isn't that incredible? That's
right.
Really cool.
I love it. Annika, let me ask you the same question, because Scott was just on the panel I did with the guys, and I'll see if yours matches up with his.
Oh, I guarantee you probably yes. It's the evolution of Hope Logan Breaking Bad this year.
Fabulous.
Yeah. So the good girl finally got a taste of the bad boy and is rebelling against Mother a little bit. So basically she it started with these great scenes with Catherine Kelly Lang, who I'm so sorry she isn't here because she had no voice.
Oh, wow.
I felt very bad. I had scenes with her today, and we got through it, but yeah, she's not working with much right now. But she, these scenes where I come in, where she's coming on to Ridge, and I basically, slut shame her, and I say, "I'm not going to be like you. I'm not going to be anything like you, Mother." And then cut to Liam, grilling Hope and getting her to confess that she cheated on her husband and kissed another man in Rome. Cut to Mother discovering her and the bad boy in bed, and Mother just losing her mind, and me and Catherine Kelly Lang's character Brooke having a confrontation, and then finally kind of ending up with Hope embracing this, starting to find her backbone and her strength, and just kind of saying, well, whether these are good choices or bad, at least they're mine to make, and kind of getting a little more firmer in her own voice and her own decisions and not being as impacted by everyone else. And had some final scenes with Liam where she's like, you wanted a divorce? There you go. So yeah, that was
nice.
Hope's journey throughout the year.
Yep. That lines up with
Scott Clifton was brilliant. I knew immediately he was going to submit those scenes, and as he should. He was brilliant.
That's great. And Finola, what about with Anna? She had some good stuff last year. What did you submit?
I submitted when Anna walks into her apartment and there's somebody in the apartment, and she's suspicious that she's being stalked by someone wanting some material that she has left over from her WSB days. And so she pulls her gun and she shoots this intruder, but it's a 15-year-old girl. And she's, she's in the shadows and she's got a hood on, and I couldn't make her out. And she can't face what she's done. Luckily, the child, the girl is okay. Thank God that they wrote it that way, because that would have been terrible. And, she's law enforcement, and she just really can't face the fact that she acted so unprofessionally. So it was really that. And I started with that, and I kind of just, like Annika was saying, I kind of took you on a journey about how it all ended up, like the fallout from that.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't really have anything light that was fun to add to it, because it is really nice to give a little palate cleanse in there, but
yeah,
I didn't have anything this year.
Okay.
These are really great stories written for
women. Yeah, I know.
These are really great.
Really
like, that's
These are all
nice.
good.
Yeah.
I was thinking that's really cool. Like, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go.
That story of a cop, it's so on point right now with what's going on in the world. And I mean, I think it's really amazing when shows bring storylines of what people are dealing with in the day. It's such a great opportunity when we're able to do that, because we really meet people. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was really, I was very shocked that they wrote it. And I remember on the day that we were shooting it, I was really scared. I was like, the room has to be dark. The person has to, the person didn't look like a child. Like they were wearing a hood. It was Halloween, so they were wearing a hood and a sort of long robe. And, we shot it a few times just so that I was comfortable, and I felt that, you couldn't see the face or anything. And it was really rough. It was actually rough to do. I'm not going to lie. It was like all of these stories, you do take them inside yourself. I mean, the body doesn't know that you're lying to it.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect segue for my next question, because one of the things I wanted to know is, since you are all thrown really heavy, emotional, big things, and you just described them all, and I know there's been a lot more, but how do you, I don't want to say leave it on the stage, but how do you kind of make sure that you're safe when you go home, and that you're not carrying it with you so much that it weighs you down in your life? Because actors will want to know how to do that, because I think that's a skill you probably have all had to work with. Anybody want to jump in and talk about how you deal with that?
I can.
Michelle, do you want to go? Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Michelle,
do you want to go? We'll both go. I'll be quick.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, wait, let me just say, I don't want to exaggerate. I was just thinking this is, it was an 8-page monologue, but there was a judge saying things like, and then what happened? Go on.
Oh.
So
No. That's an 8-page monologue.
Yeah.
It still counts.
That's like when you're working with Steve
fact check me. Don't fact check me.
Steve Burton on our show, he plays, Jason, and Jason is very monosyllabic in certain scenes. And so, like when you have just that prompt, and then what happens?
Monologue, right?
It's a monologue.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But that's so funny that you asked that question. I was just thinking of this today, out of the blue. And I used to be very, very connected to my character. And daytime, it's a tough thing because there's no break, and it's all year round. And I think it is, as an actor, I think we just naturally become married to our characters that we're playing. But on a film, it's very healthy. You're there, 2 months, 3 months at the most, and you're in, and then you're out, and you get to shake it off. And I have 2 kids. And it's not just this doesn't just pertain to people with kids, but I can't have the kind of life I used to have as an actor. I can't do this job because it's year round. And I certainly can't be married to this character because she's jacked up all the time. And, I just can't, like, there's a certain amount of craziness I actually have to bring to the studio, because she's she's jacked up and volatile. And, I can't be like that, or else I will find myself screaming at my kids. And so I really do just, it is I train myself, that's there. And then it really does end. And I think also my kids are very good at ending it for me.
Yeah.
They don't, yeah. So,
I'm hungry.
but I used to be too married to it, and it wasn't healthy for me.
Yeah. Okay. Annika, you were going to say something to that.
Well, when I first started, I Little Miss Theater School, Little Miss, giving every performance my all, and was very still new to the genre when I did that Baby Beth storyline, which I didn't know at the time lasted 9 months, which essentially was them, the Hope Logan mourning the loss or what she believed to be the death of her daughter. And it lasted for 9 months. And wow. I basically was crying, or they wanted me to, was it liquid gold? Give us that liquid gold, and just a nonstop crying for 9 months. And it got to a certain point where I'm very good at separating, that and not bringing it home. But 9 months in crying day in, day out, going through as if you have postpartum, as if you're, mourning and in grief, it starts to take a toll. And like Finola said, they've done studies where your brain does not register the difference between make-believe and real life. Your brain processes it and your body goes through it in the same way. And so I actually did start to develop, some stuff in my own personal life. And I think at the time I was too scared and I was too new to kind of create some healthier boundaries or just ask to be allowed to play maybe a different stage of grief, like numbness or anger or, something else. And so now I would say I definitely would advocate if I noticed it was starting to take a toll and it's been, I don't know, half a year. Yeah. Maybe to ask for a little bit of a breather, or, hey, is this going to wrap up anytime soon? Because it's starting to seep into my own mental health. And I wouldn't be afraid to ask now. And also someone very wise, actually one of the younger actors, was so sweet and came up to me during that storyline, and he was younger than me, and he sat me down and he was like, hey, I see you giving it your all. And I just want you to know, you don't have to bat 1,000 every single time.
Oh my gosh, wow. How sweet.
Wow.
He was Who is that guy?
I know, Aiden Bradley. He played, I love Aiden. And it really was enlightening to me because it is like a baseball. I'm from Boston and I'm a Red Sox fan, so it is like baseball in that it's year in and year out, and you don't expect a batter to hit that every time. You're going to foul out. You're going to hit a home run sometimes. You're going to pop up a fly. So that metaphor helped me to better, I don't know, be more forgiving and more kind and gentle to myself, so that I took better care of myself so that I could give a better performance in the long run. So that's just my 2 cents. Wait,
that's really interesting and very, very well put. And, it is a strange beast because we do get to play very long storylines where someone is hurting that much. And also, it's because it's an emotional roller coaster. We're also taking the audience on it, and sometimes it's like one has to remember that they meet us halfway. Like, especially an audience that's invested in us, they're there for us, and so. It is possible. Like, I think that what you hit on there is that there are other facets to mourning, and there's other facets to it. So some days you can be numb, and when it comes to sort of trying to move away from the feeling, sometimes it just creeps up on you, and you just need to sob hysterically, and you have to go behind like a flat or something, like go behind the set. If it's a really gnarly scene, which drags up all kinds of stuff. And there was a male actor on our show, a young male actor, and he was taken aback by this wave of emotion. And he was walking downstairs, and I kind of followed him, and he couldn't stop crying. And I just was talking to him, and I just asked him questions about, how he'd personalized it. And I asked him about his family, and I asked him, what he was going through. And then he sort of started to settle down, and he was like, I just didn't expect us to go there today. And it was a really great scene that he had just performed. But, that's so lovely that actors are always there for, like Aidan was there for you, and that they're always there to support you, because every single actor knows what it is that you're doing when you go out on a limb like that, and you're putting your heart out there, and it takes a toll because we're human, and we're exploring human emotions in a fictitious, albeit very real situation.
Yeah. Cynthia, anything you want to add to that? How your process works with that?
Well, I like everyone here. I think you get really good at just sort of like shedding that experience. But there have been times where I don't know if I was on a show called Lost, and she got killed. She got shot in the abdomen, and and it was a long death. And so it was like 3 days of where I had to like be dying, and it was in my stomach. And I remember finally when my character died, I was so surprised that I couldn't stop crying. And so I had to just get up and just let it out. And like Finola said, your body doesn't know that you're acting. And so I just needed to have that release. And on the show, there was one day that I had a lot of dialogue. And maybe I was just in a funky mood or something. And I never really have ever had a panic attack, but I felt on stage I had this like mini panic attack. And it can be so challenging because you have the crew looking at you. And they're lovely, and the camera people have long days. Everyone has long days, and I couldn't quite get it together. It was emotional scenes, but I couldn't even get the words out. So I think I took a tiny bit of a break, and I have such admiration for the people that work in this business, because you have to be so good with such a small period of time. and you get one or two sort of shots at it and then they move on. I eventually pulled myself together and I got the stuff. I mean, it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, but yeah, it can be surprising sometimes. I mean, even the best of us who can like let it go and shut it off, sometimes it's surprising how it kind of sticks to you. And it's more sticky. And you've got to recognize that it takes a little bit longer to release that.
Yeah. Tamara, have you had the same? Oh, go ahead, Finola.
I was just going to say, I think also sometimes the worst feeling for me is when I don't feel like I managed to get what I not envisioned, but what I was hoping for in a scene, or I just didn't. I wasn't there. And, and I walk away from the set and I hate myself. And I just, I totally missed it. I just missed it. And then it all suddenly starts to filter down and you're like, oh, that's what it was about. And, it's over. But as Laura Wright always says, luckily we have another chance tomorrow, But yeah, that's actually a worse feeling for me than the emotion of this.
Don't they say as you're driving home in the car, you're always better? You're like, I should have,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, when you're relaxed. Yeah. You're like,
I'll tell you, I just recently, maybe this is a TMI and an overshare, but I had been going through so much in my personal life, and I'm a single parent, and I had a situation where I was handling a lot of other people, and it was a hard time, and I was holding it together, then going to work, and I literally could not emote because I was, I don't know if that's ever, I happened to any of you, and this is part of, us doing this every day, like with no break, right? And I thought, oh, fuck, what am I going to do? Because I'm an actor for a living and I can't be fixing, holding it down, putting it there, shelving it there. Like, this is actually affecting my business, right? I hope I saw my way through it. I don't know. I'm not quite sure if I did, but it was a weird sort of change in my work, and maybe that's just part of the journey, right, guys? I mean, maybe as your growth as an artist, maybe that, like sometimes when I'm like, oh, that scene, it didn't go, and maybe that's how it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. Maybe it was supposed to be like that. And then, that's why I think that the award stuff is like, it can be a weird thing, because I've seen people nominated a lot, and then I see their work kind of change because, they're playing for a win or something, or when we have those shows that might be a quote Emmy show, you could see like, oh, that person's playing for a win. And I think I personally think that's very, it's too strong a word, but dangerous. Like as an artist, where we're like communicating the human experience is what we're doing. And you want to, at least that's my goal, to do that. Right. And so like, I'm just happy to be with all these gals. Right. And still, in my case, I'm still invited to the party, and that's a really great feeling.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's definitely like an honor to be amongst these legends. But can I ask, has anyone had the opposite, where in a scene, it's not scripted, like it's just kind of a conversation? It's just like a normal everyday, maybe exposition. Who knows?
You start crying
out of nowhere. Like, where is this emotion coming from?
This is so inappropriate. Oh my God, this is so inappropriate.
I actually like that stuff best. I actually think that stuff the best, because it's really cool.
When you least, some of the best moments happen when you least expect it, or there's like, we call them happy accidents. Like when something happens in a scene, but then it just makes it click and fire on a whole new level. Those, like you said, those are definitely the fun little discoveries, those little nuggets that make it fresh, and the exciting part of only getting like one or two takes to do it. And
that is exciting because they can't go back and redo it. It's like it's done.
That's right.
In England, the British training is nothing to do with emotion. You just have to talk and just see where it takes you. And they just leave you and you just talk. And then if it, and it's really interesting. I mean, it's actually really interesting. I discovered I'm kind of late to the party. I didn't know it was out there, but Andrew Scott from Fleabag and Moriarty and so many other wonderful things. He's Hamlet is on BBC and it's up. Wow. And it's so I started to watch it I've gone down a rabbit hole. I'm down a rabbit hole. I'm down there. I'm not coming up. And I've never seen To Be or Not to Be like this, and it's so just cool. It's just exquisite. Like he makes such sense of the dialogue, and it's really cool. There's just talking and then see what happens.
Wow. I love that. Tamara, I wanted to get your 2 cents on that. I'm sure you've experienced what your colleagues here have said.
Absolutely. I think that different times for myself in my life, I've carried it with me and not been able to let go. And other times I've been able to let go. And, it's obviously healthier to be able to let things go, not just, from stage to home, but in life, I had a dear teacher who just passed, but he was a dear teacher, a dear friend, and Sal Romeo, bless your soul. One of the things he first taught me when I came here, because I carried so much, he said it's really, really important to learn how to let things go, to know what's on the stage and what's at home. He said because people get into a real mess at times, at home because they don't know how to separate the two. And he said, try to come up with a ritual for yourself to let it go. And so when I remembered when I took care of myself, and it doesn't always work, but it's like literally letting things go. I make a physical gesture for myself to get it out, try and get it out of my body, to remind myself that is there. Take a deep breath. Brush it out, set yourself straight before you go home. And it makes it easier. I am always grateful for that. It doesn't always work 100%, but it's a reminder you have to be present to do it for yourself, to take care of yourself. So you can take care of other people in your life. You can take care of yourself outside of it. Sorry, Finola.
No, I think that is so important, because we prepare for the scene. We prepare ourselves, we work, we rehearse, and we prepare, and just the other side of it, we should also let it go. We should as also another form of preparation, but the reverse. I always, when I get in my car, I play music, and it's the drive home, and I just sort of let my mind kind of wander, and I really sort of look after myself that way. And I always feel as soon as I get in my car and I just put music on or book I'm listening to or whatever, it all sort of evaporates. And brushing it off your body is also a very important thing to do. And because we prepare our bodies and our instrument to go up on the set. So we should also take care of ourselves, the opposite end of that. And I think that's very good.
What Michelle was saying earlier too, having to take care of things in your life and getting on stage and feeling like nothing could come that needed to be there for her work. I think we've all probably been there too. I just think that when that stuff happens, I have found, either when you're shut down or if you're emotional, like Annika was saying in a scene where, you're talking about buying chips or whatever, and you're crying. It's like, these are real. We're portraying real human beings. It's a human experience, right? That we're trying to share. And sometimes we don't make sense. Sometimes we do cry when we're ordering chips or we're, picking up the groceries, or, sometimes we're laughing at really inappropriate things. And it's just, I think if we give ourselves some grace and also think, oh, you know what? That might actually be some magic that we don't see because we're so busy, thinking that a scene is supposed to go a certain way because we have limited time as well, that we don't get a chance to just allow for what comes in. And I think sometimes, we may judge it, and it's actually, it's magic.
Yeah. Well, you guys are giving me really great segues here, because my next question was going to be, who was that person for you that really did help when you were just getting started, either in your career or on your current show? Was there somebody you could go to for advice or just to lean on? Because it sounds like you guys, are there for each other, which I love hearing. Cynthia, can I go to you first? Was there somebody early in your career that you could kind of talk to you about all this?
Well, I had, so I grew up in Michigan, and I went to a community college right out of high school because I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was going to be like a psychologist or something. And I was sort of lost, kind of wandering around. And I saw this poster for auditions for Auntie Mame. And I was like, well, I'll meet people. And I read the play over and over and over again. And I auditioned and I got a part. And the director, Dr. Nancy Arnfield, she took me under her wing. And at that time, I didn't have a lot of money to take her classes. So she, after I was in the play, she let me audit all her classes. And she said, and after like a year and a half, she said, you have to go to a conservatory. And I don't know where I would be if I didn't have her to sort of, I'd probably still be wandering around, wondering what I was going to do in my life. But it was the only thing in my life that clicked. I was sort of C+ in everything that I did. Like I was pretty lost, and acting was the only thing that I felt like, oh, this is it. This is it. And I loved everything about it. I loved just sitting there watching them build the sets and stuff like that. And she showed me all that. She showed me, the costumes and how to read plays. And then she let me go. She said, you got to go and go to a conservatory. So I owe her everything. Yeah.
That's great. Annika, I'll come to you next. Who's that person for you that, whether it was this job or another job, that really helped?
Oh gosh, I feel like I've had different, Jedi masters throughout the years, kind of helping me chart that course. There was my high school acting teacher who really, Kevin Groppe, he just allowed me to just spread my wings, and I really fell in love with it and knew I wanted to I wanted to commit to it being a career. And then Hillary Bailey Smith, who I actually met through a theater award from my high school, who is a longtime sub vet and just an icon in her own right. And she was so helpful with, helping me when I was a green little thing. And then one of my mom's best friends, who just happened to be in the industry on the other side of things, from more of a production side, Leanne, she just has been, I call her my fairy godmother, just these strong older women who, and just aside from Kevin Groppe, my drama teacher in high school, but these like strong older women who just really helped me navigate and grow confidence within myself so that I could kind of start sailing on my own and trust myself as a performer and an artist. Also, Diana Castle was a lovely acting teacher that I had as well, who helped inform a lot of that. But yeah, I think I feel like in different moments and different ages and different points in my career, that person who's meant to kind of help me grow into that next evolution would kind of just present themselves and go from there. So I have to give credit to a lot of people. Honestly, I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed.
I love it. Oh, that's great. Michelle, who was that for you when you were starting out? You could really go to lean on.
Hey, listen, this just sounds so sad, but there is nobody, quite honestly. The only person is my mom, you know,
That's a
and
good one.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. And Tamara, you talked about your acting teacher. Is that your kind of answer for this, or is there anybody on set or anybody in your actual on the show? Or
At different times in my life, different people. Sal was a staple because when I first moved here, I met him, and so it's been 27 years or something.
Wow.
You know, like that he was constant in my life. Not only, I mean, not only as, you know, a teacher of acting, but just a teacher in life. You know, he was one of the most kind people that I've ever known, and caring people. And yeah, but in terms of, you know, he taught relaxation work, and it was, especially when I first started, and I was playing Carly, and she was on General Hospital, and the character was on all the time, and it was very emotional, and there were no breaks, and it was very heavy, and he always talked about, and it was I would not have been able to do it without that technique, and to be able to constantly go back to that was a gift, and you know, there are different people, different times who, you know, have your back, you know. My mom's always been a staple for me too, which I'm fortunate to have.
Yeah,
like
that's
Michelle.
great. Finola, how about you?
Well, you know, I was incredibly lucky. I had these the mom and dad who I started dancing when I was really young, and so I just was, you know, performing was the thing. And when I was 10, I went to a theater school. So and then there was everybody, you know, there was like these teachers were just amazing. So I was really lucky. And, but there was one teacher, Mrs. Woods. And when I was probably 12, I think, and I was in her acting class, she asked me to be in the, you know, I guess it would be college, their graduating play. So it was a story about a child who's afflicted. And so she asked me to play that kid to like these big guys, you know, and that was, I mean, I'd been on stage as a dancer and professionally as well at that point, but this was for the play, for the school. And I remember, you know, because there's this sort of dream sequence where the child is not afflicted and she sort of is like, you know, she's healthy. And then the rest of the play, she's not. And there was that moment when I was talking and just, I was suddenly like, oh, what? You mean if I talk, like I'm being this complete other person, like I'm a completely different person right now. And that just like all the bells went off. And so it was really Mrs. Woods who put me in that play, I think, when I was a kid. And I just, from there, it was, you know, I kept dancing, but this thing was in the back of my head all the time.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I love hearing these stories. I want to know, since you all have been doing this for a while, but did you have a plan B in case it didn't work out? Did anybody have a plan B?
No plan B.
No.
This is all the same plan.
This is it.
Okay, thought it worked.
I was like, I had so many day jobs. I had a bunch of day jobs while I was trying to.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I was
good.
selling clothes all over the place. Every Saturday I was selling clothes.
Wow. Okay.
When things were looking dire, I'm not gonna lie though, I started like a real estate license. Maybe
Nice.
but then, you know, I got lucky. It finally worked out.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, since this is a SAG-AFTRA panel, what was the job that got you your SAG card? Do you remember whether it was Michelle? You're nodding. What was yours?
Oh, it was a commercial for Or Wheat Bread. And we went to the audition and we had to be like 1930s dancers. And I had my hair and the whole thing. And they kept on saying, do it like this, do it like that, and throwing out characters for us. It was me and two other girls auditioning. And they said, do it like Judy Holliday. And the other two girls said, who's that? And I knew, and they said, oh, she's sort of like, Suzanne Summers. So long ago that was. And so they did it like her, and I did it like Judy Holliday. And I was like, oh, I got the job. That's where like knowing your world, knowing what you do.
Knowing
really,
the world, yeah.
Right? Yeah. And but yeah, that was my first.
That's cool.
Okay. I love that. Annika, what's yours?
Oh, I worked my way up through student films to extra work, background work. So mine was background on a film called Skyline. Also Glee, I think.
Oh, wow.
I was background in Social Network as well. We got double golden hour. Thank you.
That you did.
Thank you, Mr. Fincher. Yes.
That's a big deal.
I was very tired, but it was fun. But yeah, so I accrued that, and then eventually got a Hallmark movie and went from there. But yeah,
that's amazing. Cynthia, how about yours?
If I remember correctly, I think it was a movie called Cafe Society, and that coupled with like a Nutri-Grain commercial kind of sprinkled in there. Yeah, I think it was that movie though that landed me my card.
Okay. Tamara, how about yours?
So yeah, I mean, I remember like doing as many jobs as I could in Chicago, a lot of industrials and stuff, and some commercials, and you stay as long as you can without the card, the union, so you can, save up enough money to pay for the union dues. But I believe it was a commercial for McDonald's with Sean Hayes, actually.
No.
Yeah, it's so funny. And it was, there were two couples, and we were like either teenagers or plain teenagers or just, I think teenagers. There was a geeky couple and a cool couple, and Sean and I were the geeky couple, and I had a line at the end, and we're like at a double date, and the cool couple's in the front and we're in the back, and I say McDonald's and the movie. Like I was so excited I got to go to both. I think that is what actually gave me my SAG card, and we got to go from Chicago to Michigan. It was very exciting.
I wish I had clips I could just interject in all this to see all these. These would be great. Finola, what was yours? That. Yeah, it's some of those things are out there, but Finola, how about yours?
Well, I think it must have been the first time I worked here. So it would have been Staying Alive. I think that would have been the first time that I came to America. Because prior to that, I would have got my equity card in London. And and so, so I think it has to have been that, unless they made some sort of agreement. But it was either that or General Hospital, because that was the job I got once I came back to America. So
those are great. Oh, I love those answers. We have a few minutes left. So I want to ask, on June 7th, you're going to the ceremony. Is there an acceptance speech written in your pocket or in your purse or anything, or do you just wing it? I love hearing what you guys all think. Tamara, I'll start with you. Are you somebody that's going to plan everything out, or are you just going to go with it?
I never plan anything out, and I actually think I'll just be sitting in there and applauding, for one of you beautiful, beautiful actresses. But I mean, I've never, I always should be more like, Girl Scout or Boy Scout and be prepared and things, because you can make a bit of a fool of yourself. And from having been up there before without anything planned, I regret it, but I don't know. It seems weird I'm not good. So what about you girls, ladies?
Cynthia, you were nodding your head a little bit.
I just have in my speech, I would just thank Finola Hughes.
That's fair. That's fair. I like that. Cynthia, how about you?
Like Tamara, I'm not gonna. I won't write anything or prepare anything. I just think, I wish that everyone could get. I mean, these lovely, amazing, talented women here, and the people who work in this industry just all deserve an award for what we do. I just go for to get to see people, and then if I can do a little dancing afterwards, that's always that's always the fun part. But I think award shows are really great because we can all get together and look at each other, and just like you see here, it's nice to be able to hear other people going through the same thing that you're going through, and that you're not alone, and you have support, and so I love it for that. That alone is great.
Yeah. Annika, will you have anything prepared?
I already won. I'm in the company of these women.
There you go.
I do have social anxiety, so like it probably would behoove me to do something, but no, I really just want to try to be present and just enjoy the night and get to know more of these amazing, beautiful women and dance the night away. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
Okay. Finola, are you on that same line of thinking?
Totally. I really like what Annika said there. And I feel like to even be nominated is incredible. It's just a lovely group of women. And I'm just happy to be here, really, very much so.
Okay. Well, I hope on June 7th, you all get a chance to get together and toast yourselves, and congratulations again. And thanks for the very lively, fun chat today. I really appreciate it.
Did we do better than the boys? Were we more interesting than the boys?
I'm not going to get myself in trouble there, Michelle.
Oh, come on. It's just us.
I have four sisters. I have four sisters, so I do like hanging out with the ladies because I have four sisters. So that's all I'll say, because I don't want to get hit on social media.
That was very diplomatic, gotta say. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much, and have fun on June 7th. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Bye. Ciao.